Hey everyone, I'm Heather and welcome back to my channel. So we are here today with the demo for Vampire the Masquerade Reckoning of New York. It has been a really long time since I have played any of the Vampire the Masquerade stuff, like really long. I do have, I think, Swan Song, but I haven't played it yet. I do like the whole Vampire the Masquerade thing though. So I thought I would give this a shot and see how it goes. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, and I think we can only play with her right now. So I guess I get to select one of these. Animalism allows kindred to communicate with, control, and feed more efficiently on animals. That might be good. Obfuscate is a power that allows the kindred to hide easily, move without being noticed, and cast illusions. Presence embodies kindred ability to influence a social scene as flawlessly as they do their hunting ground. Okay, let's do animal. Oh, I guess I get all of these, and I have 2 points. Maybe this one. Okay. Let's do that. Okay, struggle against your inner beast by adding extra cost and risked disciplines. So that says that's the hunger there. The hunters are watching your every move. Play it safe or risk getting ambushed. You know, we'll leave them on and see how it goes. Night 1, the beginning. December 2024, 7 nights till New Year. Okay, D'Angelo's bureau, if you can even call it that, feels more like a rough draft of an asteroid belt. Suggesting it's shabby almost gives it too much credit, as if there's some hidden allure to the mess, which there definitely isn't. His head is cocked thoughtfully, beady eyes piercing me right through. Does this acute interest stem from the matter I brought in, or does he simply enjoy watching me wriggle in this wretched chair? I'd ask, but underneath the repulsive mask of his face, I notice something that looks a lot like fear, a detail I pocket for later. A strong synthetic odor taints the still air. The world is moving forward, but this crap reeks worse than your average smoke. And the way he squashes those mini-cigs in the ashtray, it's clear D'Angelo's struggling to shake off old habits. Not that I'm one to throw stones, but he's quite the character, useful but infuriating too at times. Like right now, for example. Okay. Let me just get this straight. You lost your sire, eh? Patience? Am I speaking in riddles? Oh, come on. Am I speaking in riddles? Did my words evaporate before hitting your ears? He rolls his eyes so theatrically, you'd think he's auditioning for a noir play. It's my way of cracking the case, you know. I'm here to lend a hand, Collie. Now come on, spill the beans, lay it all out. That's the issue. He just flaked on our meeting, and I don't know why. Reynard Castle has a knack for vanishing, though. Maybe he had to make himself scarce, skip town. He'd have left me a clue for sure. You still relying on those wall tags? The hobo code or whatnot? Little Chandler here has totally been killing it lately. I mean, I might have casually mentioned the code once or twice, but nothing major. Well, alright, maybe I showed him a symbol. one that's pretty much useless on its own. If Reynard catches wind of me spilling the beans, he's gonna flip. He's like Fort Knox when it comes to our secrets. We do, and I found absolutely zilch. Which doesn't happen, by the way. We never bail on each other when we split up for stuff like this. It's just too dangerous. Maybe he didn't have a chance to leave a trail. Where were you supposed to rendezvous? He doesn't need to know. The usual sketchy alley we always hit up. Don't worry your pretty face about the details. Why all the secrecy? You think I'm going to snitch to the undead cops? Look, I'm just trying to do this investigation right. And yeah, I know your spot. Coney Island, right? Then what was the point of asking in the first place? Narrative reasons. Maybe dropping by D'Angelo's wasn't such a great plan. Or maybe he's not as useless as I assumed. But he's definitely got me on edge. Prick your ears. I strain my ears and finally catch a few words. When a damsel in distress entered his dimly lit office, lost in the urban jungle and with nowhere to go, she turned to the only person she could trust, Detective Extraordinaire Gianni D'Angelo. But neither of them foresaw the storm brewing, ready to shake their world to its core. I'll skip over your noir wet dreams, but what's the deal with the storm? Don't you worry about it. The way he says it really makes me worry about it, but I'll brush it off. So, you made your way to Coney Island but came up empty-handed. No castle, no trail to follow? Anything noteworthy at all? Just your typical shady assholes loitering around. Clearly up to something. Pretty standard for New York City, as far as I'm aware. Shady assholes? Who? Kindred? Regular folk, all twitchy and restless. If it wasn't so passé, I'd bet they were gonna pull off a flash mob. A look of confusion flashes across his face. Flash mob? What the hell's a flash mob? Don't you worry about it. We stare at each other for a while, I smugly, and he utterly perplexed. I savored the moment, waiting for him to break the silence. But when he finally speaks, it's not at all what I was expecting to hear. To be frank, Collie, I'm running short on answers. Your sire seems just temporarily unavailable, or gone for good, or something else. I can't say I'm entirely shocked. He tries to stroll around nonchalantly, but the mess in his bureau just as nonchalantly throws him off balance. It completely ruins his noir vibe, so I shoot him a cheeky grin, but he's too caught up to even notice. Breaking character must have rattled him good. If I were you, I'd take a leaf out of his book and disappear, pronto. In fact, that's exactly what I intend to do once I'm through with my business in the city. I unpocket the fear I observed a moment ago and give D'Angelo another good, lasting look. He's genuinely terrified, like, seriously scared. But there's this hint of desperation, too. I've got to tame my inner con artist. She's practically salivating in my head, just waiting to join in. But when things go south, D'Angelo's the buddy you stick with, not someone you ditch and forget. Gianni, seriously, what's up? I'm kind of freaking out here. There are too many loose ends to stitch together a complete tale, and frankly, it's too lengthy for just one night anyway. But there's a storm gathering in the city. I've been through some rough patches, but this feels like a whole different kind of trouble. Cut the cryptic shit, just for once. He looks over my shoulder, lost in thought, like he's figuring out how to drop an anchor on someone who's already drowning. Our kind have been dropping like flies lately. Nobody seems to be a specific target, but it's hitting mostly Duskborn. The court dubs it the culling of thin bloods. Real knee slapper they got, those son of guns. But there's been other victims too. A chill runs down my dead spine. Infighting or an external threat? Are the sects seriously at each other's throats that hard? Same old song and dance, right? But this time there's a curveball, enough to make them halt the hostilities and... You know what? I'll fill you in while we hit the road. The urge to flee slams into me like a freight train. There's something about his tone that almost convinces me to hightail it out of the city. But it's not quite time to make a break for it. I might stick around for a while, so... D'Angelo's visibly concerned. Should I be worried too? You're really not going to let him go, huh? Of course not. I'll find Reynard, come hell or high water. Besides, someone has to handle detective duty, since, judging by how desperately you want me to drive you out of town, damsel in distress is already taken. D'Angelo tilts his head downward just enough to fix his crooked smile, a smile abandoned by joy long ago. I know you well enough to not even bother trying to change your mind, but you have a knack for diving headfirst into trouble, so hear me out. Keep your head down, stay off the radar, don't feed willy-nilly, and above all, don't reveal your true nature unless you're 100% sure nobody can see you. So, the masquerade, basically. I'm not joking, Callie. Keep it low, or else. Yeah, thanks for the tip. I rise to my feet and wave goodbye as I head out the door. I'll grab you once I found Reynard. On my own, since you've been such a big help. It takes me a while to actually notice the air around me, crisp and clear, without the ever-present stench of D'Angelo's nicotine habit. I find it's taking me longer each time to catch on. When will I reach the point where I don't notice it anymore? Reynard's silence and the total lack of hints about his whereabouts bug me way more than I'm ready to say out loud. The streets are deserted. It's like everyone vanished, scared off by the winter chill that mortals seem to hate. The darkness of the night, lit up by bursts of color, is kind of beautiful in a bleak urban way. But my sire is gone and I don't know what to do. Back at D'Angelo's, I was all talk, swearing that I'd track down Reynard myself or burn up trying. Pretty sure he saw right through my BS. Were I half as confident as I pretended, I wouldn't feel so utterly lost. In late December, in the big fucking dangerous Apple of all places. If D'Angelo's warnings have any weight, maybe it's time to bulk up our supplies. Our coterie? Let's just say we're big on being ready for anything. Reynard's the mastermind behind all our safety nets, making sure we don't even brush close to failure. His obsessive preparedness has pulled us out of the fire more than once. Wherever we're running our gigs, we've got these spots stocked up with goods and, let's call it personal protection. One of those hidden caches lies just around the block, if I remember right. It's been ages, but that's probably the first place I should hit up before I go hunting for Reynard. Better safe than in a grave, right? Okay. So we are going to this one? Precautionary measures? Survival is the game we all play, or so Reynard always told our coterie. That's why we stash supply caches all over, with the closest one near Washington Cemetery. If D'Angelo's warnings hold water, grabbing some supplies might actually come in handy. Great, just fucking great. Looking over the wreckage of what used to be my secret stash, I can't stop the flood of swears that could probably rouse Cain himself from his eternal rest. Whoever the hell found it, they cleared it out completely. They didn't even have the courtesy to leave my bad for the raid note. It wasn't a treasure trove or anything, just an old combat knife, a bulletless revolver, and some jewelry I was planning to pawn off for far less than what they're worth. I get why they'd take that stuff, but seriously, what's anyone going to do with a cooler full of expired blood bags? Could this have been the work of one of our kin? After what D'Angelo said, it doesn't seem too far-fetched. Fuck. Whoever they are, they better hope I don't find them first. Stepping back onto the streets, the harsh reality hits me. My gear is history, and no amount of complaining is going to magically bring it back. Believe me, I've tried. But then again, maybe I'm just being paranoid. D'Angelo has a thing for urban legends and slapping conspiracy theories onto pretty much anything. Why should this time be any different? It's Christmas after all. Around these parts, looting is practically a holiday tradition. As I'm coming to terms with my situation and thinking about what to do next, I get that weird feeling. It's like my inner alarm system is giving me a nudge, telling me something's off. A quick look behind me confirms it. Yep, I've got followers. And not just one, but two. Finally, I'm hitting my social media milestones. My gut tells me to move faster, and I find myself darting into a barely lit alleyway, disappearing into the shadows. I press myself against the cold bricks and wait. That's when I catch it, a high-pitched voice filled with endless babble. Her words cut through the air, harsh and acidic. She's talking about me, and it's far from flattering. It was her, the freak draped in all that drab gray. I effing told you. Drab gray? Who the hell does she think she is? I need to get a look at them. Girl, we come back empty-handed for the third time, and we're fucking cooked. Oh, fuck her and her cheap-ass forest ranger getup. The nerve to just my look. Why are they even after me anyway? The one making all the noise is fidgeting non-stop, like a squirrel high on candy, muttering something I can't make out. It's clear planning impromptu actions isn't her strong suit. The other one seems timid, obviously wishing she was anywhere but here. I could do Unseen Passage. Let's do Unseen Passage. I have 2 things on that. We'll see if it works. Enough is enough. I'm out of here. When the shadows envelop me, it feels like slipping into another layer of myself, cool and weirdly comforting, whispering ancient mysteries that seem meant for just my ears. It makes me feel invincible, like a stealthy panther lurking unseen in dense undergrowth, gliding silently through the serene, alert darkness. As I walk past both girls, I catch a glimpse of a 2-way radio and a revolver, my revolver, tucked under the loudmouth's jacket. She's the embodiment of every mean girl stereotype, but armed and dangerous. Mostly to herself. In the end, I leave them both be. They weren't exactly a threat, but damn, it turns out D'Angelo wasn't just blowing smoke up my ass. But none of that alters my goal. Finding Reynard remains a top priority. I could go back to Coney Island and see if he turned up while I was gone. The possibility of berating him for thoughtlessness cracks me up, if only a little. And yeah, I gotta move the RV before it draws too much attention, before some busybody develops an unwanted interest in it. But there's no point in driving it to Coney Island when I can take the subway, so what to do first? Okay, so I can either take out the RV or go to Coney Island. Okay, sure, my RV is a fortress on wheels and all, but I better move it before it starts drawing too much attention. If anything happened to our stash, well, I'd rather not dwell on that, unless I want dodging Reynard to become my main focus instead of figuring out where he vanished. The rundown parking lot where I stashed my RV seems deserted enough to keep away prying eyes. I should head back to Coney Island and see if Reynard showed up while I was away. Or maybe he left one of our signature wall signs cluing me into what's next. I feel like perhaps we ought to do the RV first. Let's do that. If anything happens to our stash, Reynard is going to skin me when he shows up. I happen to like my skin. Had it for as long as I can remember. Plus, it's not like he's facing his final death or anything, I think. New York really lives up to its rep as the city that never sleeps. People keep walking past, oblivious to the intensity of my gaze. The blood slowly coursing through their veins just beneath the surface of their skin tempts me in ways I cannot describe. I force myself to look away, not for the dregs of my own morality, nor because I feel any grand respect for them. It's simpler than that. Too many eyes, too much risk. My coterie's unspoken credo. As I approach the ruined parking lot where I've stashed my RV, I freeze. Shit, there's already a crowd milling around. 2, no 3 of them. Maybe mortal, but kindred or ghouls are much more likely. 'Cause what, random thieves suddenly got their hands itchy for an RV as old as mine? No, they must be Camarilla types, given where we are. I can feel my vitae starting to boil. But I play it cool. What's their interest in my RV? How'd they even find it? And more importantly, how do I get them to leave? How about this one, because we have 2. I'll give them something to chase. I gesture subtly toward the far end of the lot and conjure up a loud, discordant sound of a garbage bin falling over, coupled with the muffled curses and retreating steps. With luck, the looters will take the bait. They do. They carelessly drop what they were holding and one by one cock their heads and prowl towards the source of the sound, moving away from my spot. This is my moment. I sneak over to my van only to see it's been completely ransacked. They've wrecked it, digging through hidden compartments, flipping through confidential documents that won't reveal anything to them, spilling my meticulously stored blood, and tossing my sparse furnishings onto the pavement. My home, violated, ruined, done. Barely containing the wrath simmering under my cold, undead skin, I force myself to calm down. I'll sneak into the driver's seat before my illusion fades. Speeding off right under their noses is bold. Maybe even a bit stupid, but, well, I follow my gut like I always do. It rarely fails me, but when it does, oh boy. I mean, I'm Ravnos, right? The first idea that pops into my head is typically the winner. Just as I'm about to make my move towards the RV, I spot her. Actually, scratch that. It's my skin that reacts first, every hair standing on end as if electrocuted. An alarm blares in my head, screaming dangerously. Only then do I see her stepping smoothly out of the shadows, gait relaxed and yet somehow predatory. Leaving so soon, sugar? I have no idea who she is. I'm normally spot on at identifying those who prefer me finally dead. It's handy in my line of business. Yep, duty calls, and by duty I mean you can fuck right off. She doesn't even blink at my quip and just keeps inching closer. I feel an urge to step back, but a quick side-eye informs me that the prowling kindred have returned and are standing right behind me. I'm afraid you're gonna have to come with me. Don't tell me what to do. I'm a criminal now. I was raised better than that. How about that one? Sorry, no can do, sweetheart. Dad always said not to go off with strangers. Her smile stretches wider, but it's devoid of any real humor or warmth. She only steps away now, and I'm effectively trapped. Well, this stranger isn't giving you too many options, doll. I'm Valerie Duvall, the Scourge of New York. The council issued an arrest warrant in your name since they've taken an interest in your unusual endeavors. With those recent business meetings, you've left a trail of breadcrumbs too scrumptious not to follow. The fuck? We barely had time to look around New York, let alone meet up with anyone. Now you can either accompany me without fuss, or, well, let's just leave it at the first option. It's decidedly in your best interest. She gestures to one of the kindred behind me, who brandishes a hefty sharpened stake. My throat tightens involuntarily. What the fuck does the council want with me? Our coteries business isn't all that against their precious traditions, is it? You have the wrong person. Thanks for the fake choice. God, she's annoying. What thanks for the fake choice? Oh, it's my move, ain't it? Because from my viewpoint, all roads seem to end at the tip of that stake. Said tip jabs painfully against my back,
right where my heart would be beating madly if it wasn't all shriveled up. Case in point, the council will undoubtedly release you following a meticulous inquiry, of course. This is your final chance. All right, Jesus, fucking go with you. Valerie tosses me a so-called smile, the sort that could turn the sun into ice. Good girl. Now come, the council is waiting. Okay, I guess we're going to the council. Judgment at the Elysium. Now that I'm being slammed with accusations of off-book blood trading and hauled to Elysium for interrogation. What the fuck? There's no way I'm playing along. Well, maybe I am, seeing as I'm about to go fang to fang with the creme de la creme of New York's ivory tower. So this is their joint. The art hole. Seriously. Could they have picked a more pretentious spot? The ivory tower splinter has wedged itself right into the middle of New York City's swankiest row. Welcome to the still heart of Camarilla's intricate machinations. Here's where the local kindred clink their glasses, all the while plotting each other's demise. Unless, of course, you're a pariah like me, an outcast from a wrong clan with a knack for stirring up trouble, in which case you're screwed from the get-go. Honestly, I prefer not knowing how posh it is. Places like this don't exactly roll out the red carpet for someone who deals with my kind of stuff. But, since I've got no immediate escape plans, might as well play along. I'd happily shit on it on principle, but gotta admit it seems pretty low-key on the outside. Not counting the two chuckling goons who clearly missed the memo on blending with the crowd. And on that note, is there a giggle-worthy revelation you'd care to share with me, Birdie? Your demeanor hints at a job well done, does it not? The awkward freeze frame of those two are stuck in would-be comedy gold if I wasn't knee-deep in my own mess. Yeah, Miss Duvall, sir. I mean, not really anything too wild, you know? Just like the usual stuff we're seeing, I guess. Does this usual stuff include dubious characters within a mile's reach of Elysium? Groups for which you were specifically instructed to watch out? 3 of them, to be exact, if my count holds true? 3 groups of what? Honestly, I didn't spot a thing. Then again, maybe I'm just not clued in on what to look for. 3 plus 5 equals a bazillion. Wait, I've seen that before. I'll just let her cook, because I don't know what those other things are. I mean, I apologize. We really should have. Yes, you really should have. Boy, that shot through him like an icy bullet. I wasn't exactly cozy myself, but that poor sod probably just shed the last ounce of warmth left in him. Return to your duties at once. I'll be expecting a detailed report within the next hour. Yes, Miss Duvall, sir. He waddles off like a scolded kid, and his pal refuses to meet our eyes. I throw Valerie a look of unwilling respect. She obviously holds some serious clout in these parts. Come now. Dragging your feet earns you no favors, and believe me, you could use a few. Is that an offer, Miss Duvall? Her smile serves as enough of a silent veto to make it clear that prying any further is futile. Not exactly a good sign. She swings the door open, but there's no warm invitation in the gesture. The place does not quite live up to the posh art gallery image in my mind. Sure, there's a hint of what could be Masquerade on the walls? I don't know how to say that. But most of the art is either shoved aside or covered up. My instincts shift into overdrive. First up, a quick room survey. Let's look for escape routes. No vents, no fancy chandeliers daring me to escape. And definitely no clear exits, especially not through those reinforced windows. Trying to pull off a Chris Angel type stunt would likely start with a bang and end with my head on the chopping block. Step 2 practically unfolds on its own. The room's a powder keg of kindred in the middle of an intense debate. The tension is palpable, suspicion dialed up to 11. That's when their voices finally break through the walls of my focus. Wouldn't have been such an issue if we had taken action when the signs were so glaringly obvious. That long-haired hunk must be Kadir al-Amasai, the Camarilla sheriff. I've had my fill of stories about him, but now I can put a face to the reputation. If only the rest of us were blessed with your profound gift of foresight, Sheriff, and life would be a walk in the park. Allow me to emphasize, our risks are not limited to a single front. Acting on a gut feeling might work wonders in motion pictures. Here, in the real world, it's a different story. This one's a mystery to me, but the way he's navigating the conversation, he's clearly a heavyweight in these parts. Spare me the pretense of ignorance, Arturo. The pattern was unmistakable well over a month ago. Now, Arturo? Thomas Arturo? Shit. Reynolds explicitly told me to steer clear of this guy's mess. The bickering rages on, and Valerie doesn't seem eager to reveal her catch, aka yours truly. Your playful decision to allow the Thin Bloods to appoint Larson as their primogen raises his final death to a level that can't be casually swept under the rug, Helene. Thin-blooded or not, it throws into question our grip on the situation. That gothed out Ally McBeal? Definitely Ashlyn Sternbridge, the Tremere Regent. And I've been curious if Rayner's operation extends to the local chantry, but he was, as always, tight-lipped about his private affairs. What would you have me do then? Unleash our dear sheriff without adequate reconnaissance? Just in the name of haste? We can't overlook his excessive efficiency in the last skirmish, can we? Doesn't the prospect of a masquerade breach give you pause? Behold the queen bee herself. Helene Panhard, the reigning prince of the sticks up the ass. I figure we're all fond of keeping things the way they are. But there's times to just sit back and think, and then there's times when you gotta step up and do something bold. This feels like it's time to make a move. An anarch championing chaos. A revelation that somehow fails to astonish, O esteemed Baron of the Bronx. An anarch baron inside Elysium? Now that's a plot twist. What's the deal here? As I continue to look around, another figure catches my eye. A young-looking woman, entirely decked out in black, casually playing with a cigarette. She shoots me a brief glance, clearly picking up on my curiosity. That ancient fart in the wheelchair, whispering to his servant, who's that? Right as he's about to chime in, some lanky guy I totally missed till now decides to butt in. My apologies for interrupting, Mr. Payne, but it appears Miss Duval has brought forth the issue you mentioned earlier. It might be wise to ensure she is not exposed to unnecessary information. How did I overlook this guy? He's all limbs and quirks, playing with some odd ring on his finger. He sticks out in this upscale bunch of like a sore thumb. Is my mojo on vacation, or what? Yes. Thank you for that shrewd observation, Caitiff. She hurls those words like she's spitting venom. Whatever the opposite of sympathy is, she's brimming with it. Wait. Caitiff? Esteemed counsel, I give you the troublesome Ravnos neonate. I gather you all desire a swift resolution to this matter? Especially given her reluctance to cooperate. As if on cue, every eye shifts to me. I'm not one to buckle under stage fright, but this silent ostracism is on a whole new level. In this room, I'm on my own. I understand the formal necessity of addressing all this, as well as my role in the matter. However, there are more pressing concerns demanding attention. Far more pressing. Shall we discard all traditions too, while we're at it? We've pirouetted around the Hudson problem for more than a year, yet progress remains as stale as our debate. Certainly a few additional moments to honor the very laws you spearhead so vigorously couldn't hurt, could they? The Hudson is a completely different beast, as you're well aware. We need to address the locust swarm engulfing New York before Camarilla's entire framework crumbles beneath its weight. And how does that sit with you, Payne? Just last night, 2 Duskborn and a fledgling from your clan were reduced to ashes, and we're still in the dark about who's pulling the strings. Shouldn't that worry you more than policing the purity of the red market? The old guy's servant steps forward, all awkward and rigid. In principle, I agree, Sheriff. However, should we continue to disregard even minor infractions, we broadcast a message of vulnerability. Vulnerability threatens our efforts within, and beyond our borders, efforts we plan to carry on without interruption once the locust swarm, as you've termed it, is eradicated. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm inclined to agree with Gramps on this one. We can't simply let something like that slip through the cracks without taking proper measures. So you've assumed the role of his advocate now? Quite the bold ascent up the ladder of your own making. What's next on the horizon? Another hostile... Enough already. An awkward silence falls over the room, but it seems more about customs than actual respect. Guess we're all just creatures of habit, undead or alive. The sheer theatrics of the situation give me a moment to sneak a glance at... Let's look at... that guy, the old guy. Nodding off in his wheelchair, the coffin dodger looks like he's miles away from forming an independent thought, much less speaking them. Yet somehow he signals his wishes to his aide, who flawlessly translates them to the crowd. Am I the only one calling bullshit here? I might be reading too much into it, but I wouldn't trust that aide to pass me a napkin, let alone act as my voice. When the prince finally manages to speak, her voice lacks the confidence you'd anticipate from someone at the helm. We're all here for the same reason you are, Ashlyn. Or am I mistaken that you forgot where your loyalties lie? Even now, as she turns to me, her presence is weighed down. Not that I care. My head's on the chopping block, and she's the one calling the shots on whether it stays put or rolls off. Now, let's put this issue to rest here and now. Strive for brevity, Sheriff. Understood. The weight of his gaze is enough for me to lower my shoulders. Whatever comes, it's not going to be pretty. Kali of Clan Ravnos, you stand accused of violating the New York Camarilla's praxis, infringing on the tradition of hospitality, and endangering the Masquerade, among other things. Well, shit. Wait, on what grounds? Drop the act. There's a wealth of evidence in that recreational vehicle of yours, most of it confirming the suspicions we have been harboring over the recent months. Petty theft from our subjects, impersonation of other kindred, lineage forgery, need I go on? Okay, guilty, but when did they start caring? It's not like I'm the only one dipping my toes into the ocean of misdemeanors. At least they don't know about our artifact gig. But your involvement in large-scale blood and mortal trafficking, outsider scrutiny, and the jurisdiction of the circulatory system is as obvious as it is dangerous to the stability of our domain. Large-scale, my ass. We hardly move anything through New York. Definitely not enough to impact their operations. Plus, we're super careful. Especially with your clientele often being in direct hostility to our interest, as Primogen Payne was kind enough to confirm. Seriously, this can't be right. We always check out our clients. Well, Raynard does, but... Is this some twisted way to set an example? Are they playing the undead IRS? What is their game, really? While some might chalk this up to colossal stupidity, I am neither so forgiving nor tolerant of fraudsters who respect nothing but their own goals. Gain. I'm not blind to the fact that Reynard's completely MIA in this whole story. He's the big cheese, the head honcho of the entire affair. Though calling it an affair might be giving it too much credit. So why are they making it out like I'm the mastermind behind some global crime syndicate? This is no time to be quiet, Raven. You know what? Fuck 'em. I'm not going down without a fight. I'm not your scapegoat. Obviously you found something. How could you not when you're the one who planted it there to begin with? Careful, Icarus. I've watched The Exonerated. I know the drill. Look, I get you need someone to pin this on, but you've got the wrong... Out of nowhere, something pierces my mind, shredding its defenses to dust. It's like my head's been turned inside out, exposing my every thought for their amusement. I whip my head towards the source of this eerie sensation, and boom, there's Kadir. The freaking sheriff who's with those piercing eyes slicing through my layers of BS like it's cake. I earnestly hope you're not taking me for a fool. That would be a misstep of monumental proportions, unlike anything these walls have witnessed. I get a glimpse of Ashlyn out of the corner of my eye, silently mouthing the word that looks suspiciously like I beg to differ. Right then, a curved sword appears in Kadir's hand, as though he pulled it straight from thin air. Or maybe I'm just going nuts. Honestly, I'd be totally shitting my pants right now if that part of me wasn't offline. I am not here for your games, little raven. Choose your next words carefully. I'd argue this utter lunacy clears her of charges. She couldn't even cobble together a feeble story, much less orchestrate clandestine trading of this magnitude. And yarn spinning is supposed to be your clan's forte, isn't it? Last chance, my dear. Is there anything of substance you wish to add? Holy shit. This can't really be happening, right? What's my move? What would Reynard do? Reynard. If he had the decency to pop up or at least toss me a fucking heads up, I wouldn't be knee-deep in this disaster. Is he really in trouble? Or what if he bailed on me? Got a hint that the Camarilla were breathing down his neck and decided I'm the perfect scapegoat. Nah, that doesn't sound like him. But why target me and not Reynard? Sure, he's gone now, but could they really be that clueless about him? I'm totally lost, but I do know what he would probably do. His move would be to look out for number one, spill the beans, more than necessary to buy some time. Time is gold, and with enough of it, maybe there's a chance to wiggle out of this mess. It's all or nothing now. Hit the jackpot or end up porcupined with stakes. Guess there's not much point in playing dumb, huh? Couldn't agree more. Game on. Alright then. So, I indeed am tangled up in a little blood trafficking operation, playing a pretty crucial part if I do say so myself, though I guess not everyone's on board with the assessment. I do logistics, pushing merchandise through a series of dark web channels. Every eyebrow in the room goes up, except for the cigarette aficionado in the back, who lets out a slight smirk. I mean, a little controlled drama never hurt in a short con. All totally secure and anonymous. No slips about, our thing. Everything masked by the hustle of more mundane black markets. No way we're blowing the masquerade. We deal in stored blood, as you might have caught on. Not just any blood, though. Our merch is a little jazzed up. Thaumaturgically enhanced? I don't know if that's a word. Enhanced, to be exact. It's the only way they'd work, as you're well aware. I am, but that's not for you to find out. Right, of course. Oh, and we also deal in, let's just call them family treasures. But honestly, that's more like a side gig than anything serious. But we're extremely careful about picking our clients, and really thorough when it comes to making deals. The traditions and all. I was sure we never even come close to breaking them. At least that's what he led me to believe. I had a hunch that there were some dodgy dealings in his more secret ventures. To deny that would be a flat-out lie, but let's be real, I'm way outside the inner circle to have a real sway in those parts of his endeavors. For a brief moment, an uneasy silence sweeps over the room. His enterprise? Is this a joke? Exactly who is this he you're referring to? I give it my all to appear as blameless as possible. I presumed you knew it was my sire who masterminded all. The room's heavy silence is soon filled with hushed whispers following my revelation. Good. If fortune is on my side, I might just live to see another moonrise. Indeed, how fortuitous. And your sire would be? There's only one other notable rogue in the city who comes to mind. Someone dipping in and out, known for their shifty nature, of which I was somewhat aware. Reynard Castle. You nailed it, Chief. Sir. Another brief moment of silence gets interrupted by the girl in black who addresses the sheriff. I can practically hear the cogs turning in your head. What's your take on it? Truth be told, it does add up, though I had him pegged more as a con artist than a trafficker. Then why hasn't he been apprehended yet, Sheriff? Are you secretly endorsing activities that impede the circulatory system's operations? For your own good, Payne, I'll pretend I didn't catch that. Or would you care to question my dedication to our cause again? Be warned, my patience wears extremely thin these nights. Can we put this bickering on hold, at least for the moment? An opportunity stares me in the face. How could I resist squeezing myself right into it? One more thing. Rayner and I had a meeting lined up with a client a few hours back, but he never showed up. In the whole year and a half I've been in this gig, he's never just vanished like this. And what do you make of it? Now, with the floodgates of truth wide open, it's time to dive into the art of lying my ass off. To be honest, I'm not sure, but now that I think of it, he's changed over the past month, become a lot more erratic than usual. Ready for my theory? I'm pretty sure he caught wind of your lot and decided to feed me to the flames while he made a run for it. Whether they're swallowing my story or they're just tired of my presence, it feels like I'm nudging things the way I want them. Not everyone's convinced, though. An unwitting pawn betrayed by her master, a likely story, suitable for the stage indeed, but in this context, if I may. Damn it, Patrick! Don't go getting yourself into... Baron's warnings arrive a bit too late. Instantly, the others shift their focus, fixing their eyes on the caitiff that was with unmistakable hostility. It's clear they're not exactly fond of him. Since you've already disrupted the proceedings, you might as well say your piece, mediator. Very well, then. I am inclined to believe her, at least in the aspects most significant to the interests of her allies. Thanks, you mysterious weirdo. As ever, your assertion remains devoid of substance. My guy's advice is pretty much always on point. His track record speaks for itself. The sheriff has a point that seems to hold water. Her sire might just be the one at fault. She is essentially a non-entity, is she not? A nobody that slipped under the radar until, by a stroke of sheer bad luck, she got caught red-handed. Do excuse pun. When you give it another look, the evidence you have collected should indeed back up that claim quite convincingly. And what grounds your intricate evaluation precisely? My judgment is shaped by your vast experience and simply tempered by reason and intuition. It changes little regarding the consequences she must face for her complicity in her sire's crimes. It's do or die. How about I serve you Reynard's head on a silver platter in exchange for mine, unscathed, on my shoulders? Kadir's stare pins me under silent disapproval. But he lets me, as the curly-haired asshole put it, spin my yarn. I know all of his secret spots in this town, plus the spots he wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. I'm wired into his network, his contacts. I've got his playbook down, and I can stay one step ahead of him with ease. Just give me a chance, and we'll all be thanking our lucky stars by the end. They slip into a quiet introspection, or maybe they're just playing a round of mental chess, trying to read each other's minds without uttering a word. I have reservations about this daring proposition. Consider the potential fallout if this entire situation spirals out of control. Kadir throws up his hands, clearly over dealing with my case. Capturing this whelp proves hardly a challenge. I wouldn't sweat the idea of catching her again. What's more, entrusting her with Castle resolves two issues at once. It swiftly eliminates her presence, enables us to prioritize genuine concerns. But someone has to keep constant watch over her. Valerie, perhaps one of yours? A batshit crazy idea bursts into my mind, the kind of gamble that could either turn out brilliantly or spectacularly implode. Let the dice roll. How about him? I jab my finger towards the quiet caitiff. Patrick. Was it? His expression shifts up to one of utter confusion as he catches the subtle smirks of the council members. Surely you're not considering... This could play out quite favorably, I must admit. Quite favorably indeed. Holy shit, it actually worked. Very well, Patrick Conroy, I hereby appoint you as the agent caretaker for this Ravnos neonate. I hate to break it to you, Sheriff, but this call is out of your turf. He is with us anarchs, and you know it well enough. Technically, when he took on the whole peacemaker role for our cliques, he acquired a level of neutrality, so yeah. Kadir redirects his gaze to the caitiff. Your responsibility is to ensure she fulfills the assignment within 4 nights, starting now. Any slip-ups on her end will reflect on your record as well. Do we have an understanding? 4 nights. Not a whole lot, but better than nothing. Pedrick's resigned nod mirrors exactly how I feel. Now, back to where we were. Their sudden disinterest in me is a clear get-out-of-here signal. Seems like I've managed to slide from one pit to another. But hey, I bought myself a little time, and in my world, that's precious currency. Unless, of course, the caitiff turns out to be a wild card. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and end this here. I like the story so far. I'm not sure I love the way it's just text on the side. And I know it's a visual novel, but less people on screen than I would normally like out of a visual novel. But I am interested in the story, so I would consider it depending on how much it ends up being. But yeah, that's going to be everything for this time, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!